The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's foreign and foreign.
Good evening and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. Man, I want to say right off the jump, Happy New Year. Right? I hope so far it's been a wonderful new year for you. Let me just say this. It's been a good one for me. Right? I've enjoyed the holidays from Thanksgiving to Christmas, man, spending time with family. I hope you were able to do the same. I was able to reflect, even during those wonderful times, I was able to reflect on memories. Particularly during the holidays is a good time to reflect on memories of the good times that you had with family, particularly family that are no longer with us, right? Because those moments are special, and you must always carry those in your heart and your mind, right? You must reflect on those things. Those were good times that you spent with family members and friends, man, during the course of the holidays. And so I want to remember the good times, right? Even though they may not be present with us, right? That spirit is. I just remember some of the things that my mother-in-law, my father-in-law used to do. I remember, some of the things around those times with my dad, how he had these special moments with my kids at the time, and so so you can find joy because God allowed us to have those unique and special moment with so many of our family members and friends, and he allowed us to come into this new year. I always say that if God taps me on the shoulder or shakes me and wakes me up in the morning, man, I'm gonna be thankful. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna say, let's go. God has given me another day, because honestly, nobody's promised tomorrow. But when tomorrow comes, man, you got to do something with it. You got to get up. And I know that sometimes we wake up and there's so many negative things going on in life. Man, you could turn on the news, man, 90% of it is negative. And you could look out the window and say, oh, it's winter. Like last week we had fall. It's been cloudy. The sun is not out. Yeah, but I heard somebody say, man, the sun is always out. It's just above the clouds, right? And so I like to put the shine. I like to put the positive, on the negative every morning that I wake up. And so again, Happy New Year, right? And I'm praying that each and every one of you would have the kind of year you've been desiring and you've been praying for. And so let's get started. I want to say, last week we experienced something. I just happened to be going back and forth between, the basketball game and the football game. And I'm sure everybody, unless you've been living in another country out in the woods somewhere, we heard about the situation with Damar Hamlin and, the football player that made the tackle and, went into cardiac arrest. And man, because it was interesting for me. We were watching the basketball game and say, hey, let me turn and see what's going on in the football game. And the next thing you know, somebody else got hurt before that incident even happened. And then they paused for a little while. And then we went back to the basketball game, and then we came back 30 minutes later, and 15 minutes later, and we was like, man, they still out there, working on this person. Until we saw the video, we realized that it was just a whole different experience. And it was crazy. But man, God is good in the new year, and prayer works, right? Damar Hamlin is right now is doing well. Actually, he was sitting up in the bed today, watching his team, and I was reminded of an incident, right? Because it's tough when you on a team or you work with somebody. Sometimes when things happen on a job or in sports or in acting or whatever it is, and something traumatic happens, and it calls for trauma, man, sometimes, man, it takes you a little while to recover from it. And I mean, you just can't go back to doing, what you normally do, because that thing is still in your mind, right? And so all of us, I think, have been in shock, right? And everybody was praying and hoping for the best. I mean, I've seen all the players come together, man. Despite who won, who lost, all the players come together. People in the crowd, people watching on television, man, just went into prayer mode, right? And that, man, that is a good way to start 2023, right? That we would be considerate of somebody else rather than thinking about ourselves. Now, if we can apply what just happened over these last couple of weeks to how we need to move as a nation, right? A nation that should be praying, the nation that should be caring about other people, right? If we can get in that flow, if we can change into that frequency and that vibration as we move into 23, right? If we can have that kind of mindset that we care more about people than we care about money. We care more about people than we care about politics. If we care, man, because that's really what it's all about, right? Because all we have is this one life, right? And so if we can start 2023 off like that, man, we're gonna have a good year this year. So no matter what situation you go in politically, man, if you can think about the love that was shown, the prayers that were prayed for Damar, whoo, man, it's gonna be a good year. So I want to say again, thank you, man, for all your prayers, right? Just like the first responders responded instantly like that. Probably one of the reasons why he was able to recover. But you know what happened at the same time they responding? People got in prayer right away, right? And with the actions of the first responders and the actions of those who went to pray, man, God is good, right? And prayer still works. So again, awesome. So let me give a couple of other shout outs. I want to say happy birthday to Sister Monica, right? On the blueprint, Sister Monica, happy birthday. Man, there's some pictures there. Look at them pictures. Ooh, look at the baby pictures. Look at them Look at them ponytails. Happy birthday, Monica. Love you. God bless you. And also to my Aunt Dolores, right? I want to say happy birthday to my Aunt Dolores. And when she actually everybody's birthday she got on the calendar, right? And my Aunt Dolores, I will get a call. She will call all of us until she gets us so she can sing happy birthday. So I want to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Aunt Dolores. Yeah, that's a good way to start off the show. Yeah. So, hey, let's jump right in it here. Oh, see, somebody, I don't know, somebody misplaced. This looks like an orange, but this is my stress ball, right? I don't know where my little basketball is, but to start the show off, I got to drop something. They're going to learn right there. Happy birthday to you, right? And look at all them pictures, boy. And here, look at them. Ooh, I remember them pictures. Ooh. Yeah, that's my mom's sister, right? And so now let me drop this in the pond, right? I don't have a pond in the house, but you know, it's a metaphor. So I'm gonna drop it in there. Expecting a great show tonight. Expecting a ripple effect. Somebody gonna be blessed tonight. Somebody's gonna pick this up later and be blessed, right? And somebody's gonna think about this later and be blessed. You know, so let's jump right into it. Right, I'm going to delay my book of the week, right? And let me start out with my word of the week. Yeah, I gotta take a little moment on this, right? Because, you know, as we transition from 2022 into 2023, right, where we are right now, right? I want to start off something that was been on my mind and my heart forever, right? And in my book, From the Boys and Girls Club to the NBA, Life on the Narrow Road, inside my book, it's a critical part of my book in regards to dealing with literacy and illiteracy, right? And man, you know, you see that if I can show those words of the week, literacy and illiteracy. If I can show that again, it says illiteracy is a death sentence, right? And I'm trying to work out something for one of the libraries, for the library in my city. They want me, you know, to do a presentation, and I have to give them something, you know, on for Black History Month, and I think I'm going to focus on illiteracy or literacy. I think I'm going to focus on it, particularly around the aspect, because literacy is the ability to read and to write, and there's so much more to it, but that's foundational, right? And illiteracy is the inability to read or to write, right? And I don't want to get into the data on this because, you know, hopefully in a future show I will. But I mean, when it comes to Black boys and reading and writing, man, it's an alarming stat that we have to address. Among our young people, man, if we don't get our kids to read, right, to comprehend what they read, to be able to improve their writing skills, right, we're always going to have problems forever, right? And we cannot rely on others to do it for us, right? We got to be able to do it ourselves. We have to be able to, you know, approach this situation in our culture ourselves. And if other people want to come to support and partner, then we want that. But it starts with us, right? And those are critical words right there, right? Because if you can read and write, you can do any subject, right? You can overcome in any subject if you can read or write. But if you cannot read or write and comprehend, right, there's no way to move forward. So those are my words of the week. Going in 2023, we need to be focusing on building a library in our homes, right? We need to build a library in home. I've been giving books for almost 3 years now, right? And every time, and look, now you see those books right there, right? Now, my guest tonight, she got a book. One of those books are her book inside of those books, right? But we should build a library. We should have a library, right? Starting if you have children, young children, you should have a library that grows with them, right? And we should be reading to our kids, right? And we should put them on assignment to sit down and read rather than playing video games all day, right? But I mean, if you want our kids to have a future, they've got to fall in love with reading. So let me move on. Let me give my Pierce Harper affirmation quote moment. Let me give it right now. Life begins where fear ends. Life begins when fear ends. And yeah, if you living in a state of fear, you can never move forward and you can never have the life you want. You got to get out of fear. and get yourself over into faith. And then this week, this is my music and movie, of course, The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You, right? That's the song of the week. And then I don't know if you should look this up. Denzel Washington, one of his older flicks, his older movies, Hard Lessons, right? And this is the George McKenna story, right? If you hadn't had a chance, the George McKenna Academy is in California, and he took a terrible school, a non-performing, dysfunctional school with gangs and all kind of stuff going crazy, right? And he turned that school around with love, right? Love and reading, right? And his whole thing was to increase the reading proficiency of the young people in his school, right? And man, it's a great story, so powerful that the school still exists today, right? And has the craziest, getting in college, man, just getting in, young people getting in. I think it's like over like 80-90% of the kids that go to the George McKenna Academy, man, go to college, man. Just awesome, right? And so that's my word of the week, my affirmation, and my music and movie for the week. Right now, I just want to show you this little highlight here, or this little commercial, and then I'm going to introduce my guest.
The year is almost over, sis. Did you do that thing you said you were going to do this year? Have you saved up enough for that new car? Or what about that dream vacation? Still haven't found the time to start your new business venture? You had all those amazing ideas, but what happened? Sounds like you haven't been managing your time that well. It's time to get organized with your own personalized productivity planner from Eartha Books. A planner is a girl's best friend is an excellent tool to help us manage time better. It's perfect for writing and planning out your dreams, commitments, and responsibilities. It's a fun place for your notes, ideas, artistic expression, or whatever inspires you. The notebook features blank pages, lines, bullets, everything you need. Created for today's businesswoman, a planner is a girl's best friend is essential for time management. Head over to the website to get yours today.
Awesome. Let's welcome to the Blueprint, Eartha Hicks. Yay.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey, let me say, I want to start off there because it's 23, right? And you have a few books, right? But I wanted to start out with, because you had two books that I'm going to show right now. I think it is books of the week. I think, yeah, and there are two books. I think one is a diary, right, and one is a planner, right. And I mean, I don't know what anybody else is doing. Hey, I think we're gonna put up the website, right, where you can get those books. Because no better way to start a year than starting to write down, daily things. And also to plan, right? Yes. And then you need tools, right? Yes. You need tools to plan. So talk a little bit about talk about were these the first books that you started with?
My first book was actually my novel Love Changes. The Planner is a girl's best friend planner and journal series. Came because I was a planner girl since the 80s. And my initial planner was the American Express planner that cost me, it was leather bound, and it cost me like $88 in 1980 something. And then my other planner was Virginia Slim's Book of Days, but I wasn't a smoker. So I used to harass my coworkers for their UPCs so I could mail in and get this calendar every year. So whenever I did not have a planner, my year would just be thrown off because I wasn't consistent about keeping a diary of my day-to-day, week-to-week, unless I had a physical planner to write it in. So my initial goal was to design one for my editor when she turned 80. I wanted to do it in time for her 80th birthday, but I didn't quite make that deadline. But I was able to finish it by 2016 and publish it.
Well, you know, first of all, you just threw out a nugget there, right? Yeah, because I always say on the show, man, my grandfather, come here, man, I got a nugget for you, and I'd be looking for something in his hand, and it was really something important he had to say to me, right? So you threw out a nugget there. You said you were designing a planner for a person who's 80, right? So which means that there's no number, no age for when you plan.
Right.
Right. So whether you 80 or you 10, 11, or 12, right? There's no age for it, right? And I think that if you're going to start off 23, you ought to start off, okay, I'm going to start off this year. I'm going to write about the things that happen daily, right? That are important to me. And then I'm going to plan. Right. I'm not just going to live life in 23, right? I'm going to plan my life in 23. So yeah, get a little bit more deeper in that before we digest for a moment.
Oh, sure. The A Planner is a Girl's Best Friend is a month at a glance. So you can look at the entire month, and alongside the month, there is a space for your expenses. So you can list out your bills and see your month and your money at the same time. There's also a weekly timetable where I give you lines to schedule out your day from 4 a.m. until midnight. Aside from that, there are pages for notes. There are pages for their inspired quotes. And the Planner is a Girl's Best Friend. All the quotes are by me. One of them is, if heart and mind were sisters, heart would be the gullible one. So just little inspiring quotes that just kind of make us think, make us ponder, or encourage us to write something. And there's plenty of space to write. There's also a password log. There's a space for your phone numbers. And the series evolves. So if the pink planner is the basic, the first one that I created, the next one was the Everyday Excellence Student Planner featuring runway model Soleil West, which I did for little girls ages 10 to 13. And that one features activity sheets and spaces for how to do cursive writing, how to write a check, a diagram showing the components of a check, how to write a check, and how to endorse a check, and why it's important to be careful with check writing privileges, as well as puzzles and games that inspire girl empowerment. And there's also a section on bullying and what to do if you're facing bullying in school. It's full of resources and information, websites. And that was for the students to keep them encouraged and to keep them focused on doing better. So I try to expand it and make it better as it goes along and to cover different categories. And my next one will be covering travel.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm also, waiting for a planner for a boy's, best friend.
Okay.
I thought I saw something with one of the, I don't know if it was a planner with the guy on it, right? I think we got maybe a picture we could see. I can kind of spot that out. If you go back to those books that was shown before, like right up at the top, you see
Thinking of a master plan.
Of the master plan. Yeah, I like that, man. I always, because I'm a man, I almost put that one on first, but I took it off.
That's the master plan planner, and it's very similar to the A Planner is a Girl's Best Friend, but I have the diagram of a check in there and how to write a check and how to endorse a check. I have that in there, as well as I do budget spreadsheets where I literally take the whole page, both sides. They can open it up and they can go through their months and their weeks of what they're going to do with their paychecks. And I also give them little section at the top that I call advice from mom, as in little nuggets of information that it may be one line, but it's a line that'll carry you through life. Like the first thing you pay is your rent. And that's something your mother would say, but a lot of things, that's something that young people don't quite get. So before you pay anything, pay your rent, always save for a rainy day, like little tidbits of information to keep them encouraged and inspired. Focus on having 5 streams of income. And I even give them space and encouragement to, hey, have 5 streams of income. So these are little nuggets of information that help when you have them in the forefront of your mind, when you're thinking about money, thinking about earning money and what to do with your money and being responsible with your money. So I encourage them, because the men got the spreadsheet with this is what you do for your budget every month. I did that for the gentlemen, and thinking of a master plan.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that, since we're in the beginning of a new year, it's not too late.
Right.
To start planning the future. I always tell people, like, I used to ask these young men at the Boys and Girls Club, what's your plan? Right. And I used to shake their hand. Hey, they see me at the door. Mr. Moore, what's up? Give me the handshake and give me the hug. And I said, man, what's your plan, man? Like that. And they said, oh, come on, Mr. Moore. And, all of them as they come through the door. And one time, a young man, I grabbed his hands. Hey, what's up, man? What's your plan? And all of a sudden, a few minutes later, there was a knock at my door. After I greeted them, I went back inside my office, and he knocked on the door. I said, come in. And he came in and he said, why you keep asking me what's my plan? I said, because you don't have one. Right. And I said, I've known you for a long time. And, the ultimate goal is you think you're going to play basketball and go to the NBA, and that's your plan. Right. But right now, you're not doing well in school. Right. So you're not going to go to college. So what's your plan? And at the end of the day, he says to me, next thing I know, I said, like, okay, if you don't graduate this year, what are you going to do? Do you get a GED? What happens? And I said, if you don't graduate, then you have to get a GED, and then there's the process. Now you can go on and you can start talking about maybe community college or something like that, and make your way to be able to be a student athlete. And the crazy thing was, about a year later, after he left school, he came back to me and showed me his GED. Right. And so he had taken it a few times, like 2 or 3 times before he actually passed it. Right. But it allowed him to get a good job. Right. And he never looked at basketball anymore. He just went to work because he liked getting resources, And so, yeah, I think planning, I think is Dr. Miles Monroe that says, if you don't plan right, you plan to fail. Right. Without planning, you plan to fail. But if you plan to succeed. So, and that's why when I was looking at your books, I was thinking, like, wow, Plan of a Girl's Best Friend was very powerful.
Thank
you. So I don't know. We're getting some little feedback here. I don't know where it's coming from, but yeah. So that was awesome, and so hey, make sure I think the website was down there, right? And even in business, I know you're a business person, you're entrepreneur, and I've been saying for years as the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, and my wife wrote it down there and said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And I used to tell my board every year about strategic planning. I mean, and they used to just, I don't know, strategic plan. You keep saying that. Why you keep saying that? Right. And I'll say this quickly before we digress. was that I went to this sports management conference,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the back of the room, and the CEO and owner of IMG was there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I just got in the last question. He said, "One more question." I raised my hand real quick, so I asked him. I said, "Look, how important is strategic planning like that?" And the whole time he spoke, he never stood up, but in that case, he stood up. He stood up. He said, "Every business that I started without a plan failed, but every business that I've had success with, there was a strategic plan." Right. And so you're absolutely right when it comes to that planner. Right. Because if you don't plan the trip, like you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if we digress for a moment, let's talk about family, because you sent me a family picture. So I
Mm-hmm.
want you to talk about like growing up, mom and dad, siblings, but you just you sent me a picture. I want to show that picture, and you're gonna tell me who's in the picture.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, and in the center, that's my daughter. To the bottom right corner, that's my mother. All the rest, top left corner, that's my daughter. All the rest are me at different ages.
Yeah, that's called young Eartha.
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Now here.
Yes, yes. Okay, to the left, that is my stepdad. There's my mother, who's immediately right to him. My brother-in-law to the back. My aunt Dee Dee is in the front. I am in the middle. Is my daughter's boyfriend in the back. My daughter is to the right of my shoulder, and there's my grandma Hill to the bottom of the photo. My baby sister, Erin, in the bottom in the corner is my son, and behind my son, immediately behind my son, is my sister Alexis.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So because he has 3 questions. Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there we got a few more to hear.
Yeah, there's my son and my daughter when they were younger.
Woo.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Oh.
We got a little animation going on here.
Uh-huh.
So talk a little bit about, because on the blueprint we like to kind of get to know the guests. So
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about the importance of family, the importance of faith, and the importance of education. So
Okay. For me, family is everything. God, self, family. So my daughter, I became a mom at age 21 immediately after college. So and then when I was 7 months pregnant, I have to mention this, I was in a 3-car collision. And I didn't think I was going to survive that car accident. So my instinct was to protect the baby. And in protecting the baby and wrapping myself around my stomach is how I survived. So going forward, when I think about life and I think about, decisions, big opportunities, it's my children that always, that always, stays close to my heart. So, I say God, self, family. It's my kids, it's my babies, it's, so I live for them. So yeah, I get sentimental when I think about it, but it is what it is.
oh yeah, you don't have to tell us about it. we know how sensitive it is.
Yeah.
And you where did you grew up? Where were you born, and you grew up?
Oh, I grew up in the South Bronx, and like what I call the worst projects in the Bronx. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Scratch that. I grew up in a rough housing project, and I was hardly allowed to leave. I was upstairs, I had to stay upstairs and study. So that's why I'm so studious.
Yeah, but what if you didn't have any books? What, didn't you have anything up there? Yeah.
No, if I didn't have any books, I read the school books. So I made it work.
Oh yeah. I was telling my friend the other day, man, we was talking about the issues of illiteracy. And and I was thinking about growing up. And I think every household had encyclopedias. Right? We had encyclopedias, and we also had these, I don't know, these specialty books. And even though we couldn't read, man, we used to go through those things and just flip through the pages, right? And my mom, them, it was like, okay, each month they pay something on to have these books. I mean, they weren't free. Nobody was giving it out free. So when I think of the importance of the start of my education, right, those seeds, and how was it with mom growing up? Was mom disciplined?
Yeah,
structured?
She was very loving, very protective, and then at the same time she spoiled me. So she tried to give me everything I wanted. All she asked was that I get all A's. And if I can mention a really funny story, at least to me, about encyclopedias. Encyclopedias back in the day were really, really, really expensive.
Yeah.
So and if you had an encyclopedia in your family, you were considered, that was like, like a big thing because they were so expensive. So we had a set of World Book encyclopedias.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, there you go. You got the right name.
So our set of World Book encyclopedias belonged to my great grandmother, and we passed it down. Now we had it. So 1978, I was given a class project, and I had World Book encyclopedias, and I went and wrote my paper based on our encyclopedias. Well, my subject was Cuba. Little did I know that my grandmother's edition of the World Book Encyclopedia was before Fidel Castro and the Bay of Pigs. So I had a very interesting report on Cuba without any current events.
Oh, man.
So, my mother, she did what she could. Like I had a little computer. Even though the computer didn't do much, we had basic programming. So I had to, key in for every little thing it did, just to make it flip a card or to flip a character from one side of the page to another. That was all keyed in, so she did what she could. And between my mother and my father, they tried to present the best that they could and encourage every aspiration that I had, even if they smothered me, even if they threw so many books at me, I lost interest, or even if they signed me up to a piano class and I quit the next week, they always encouraged and engaged whatever goal that I had. So for that, I'm grateful and I'm thankful. So that's really what my childhood was like, just being an only child, being very inquisitive and always just like searching for knowledge and getting questions answered and doing puzzles. And, I was a math kid. So it was interesting. It was always a learning process for me.
So I want to know, what was that kind of effect, being that person when you went to school? I mean, was that the popular thing?
Well,
being studious and,
Well, I mean, the funny thing about my school, my elementary school, which is no longer there, but, kudos to St. Jerome's School. In our class, we had about 6 or 7 kids that were high achieving. And like they didn't keep us back with the rest of the classes, with the rest of the classmates. They gave us the next level book. So I remember being in the 1st grade reading a 3rd grade book. So it was like, as we excelled, they would pull us aside and give and nurture us where we were. And for that, and then like the top students used to kind of compete, like, what'd you get on that test? What'd you get on that test? And we had SRAs, and I remember being in like the 5th grade, scoring like an 11th grade level on the reading and a 12th grade level on the math. And the following year, it was like 12.6 and 12.9 for reading and math, and then they skipped me to the 8th. But it was but also too, the year before that, they skipped 2 students. It's they back in the day, they would skip the students. But at the same time, it helped to that we were almost competing with each other. We all knew we were sharp, and we challenged each other and tried to scale up. And then we also, they tried to push us to the better schools once we reached the 8th grade. And at the time I had gone to Cardinal Spellman. And once I got to Cardinal Spellman, everybody was brilliant and I was just average, because
You said you were average.
I was just average. Everybody was brilliant in Cardinal Spellman. Everybody. It was intellectual conversation in homeroom.
Yeah. I mean, man, that sounds good. I mean, so it's good to know family and faith in education. And in high school, I mean, now you started to, did you know from middle school going into high school that what it is you wanted to be? What was your thoughts at that time?
In middle school, I thought I was going to be a lawyer and a judge. Right. And a singer, but I couldn't sing. So, I was going to be a lawyer and a judge until my father bought me the stack of college legal books. And then I looked at all, and I'm like 9, 10. And I looked at no pictures and all this fine print. I said, okay, this is boring. And I shoved those to the side. It was that. In high school, I thought, well, I'm good in math. So my father was like, well, your cousin has an accounting firm. You should go into accounting. So I took all of these accounting courses because I was good in math. But, I was like, yeah. Oh, what kind of steered me away from that was seeing a career accountant. He just didn't look happy. I had a conversation with him during tax season, and he just kind of looked like... I was like I imagine accountants to be happy. He didn't look happy.
Oh man. Okay. And so what was next?
Next, well, when I went to college for accounting. And while I was there, I got a job at a bank in the collections department. And while I was in the collections department, I'm all of 18 years old, but I'm like one of the top collectors in the department. And I'm just hitting this quota and collecting. And then they had incentives, and then they had tuition reimbursement. So every A I got, they gave me a check back for the tuition. So I was just hitting it. I was like, okay, collecting the money, getting my classes. I was going to school full time, working full time. And I did not like the collections job, but I liked the collections steady paycheck. And it helped me pay my way through college. So I was really, really, really grateful. And I was working that job when I was I was there for like 3 years. And that's the job that I had left the evening I was in the accident. So,
okay.
And then after that, I became a stay-at-home mom. And as a stay-at-home mom, I became an extreme couponer. So
an extreme what?
Couponer.
Okay. Explain. What's it?
Well, I could feed us for the month on like $25 a week just by matching the coupons with the sale items for that week. And I would go to the supermarket, have the coupons all lined up and matched up. And in some instances, I was able to either get a check back from the manufacturer or have the coupon bring the total down so low, I would get money back from the cashier. So, and this was something I had learned to do because I was living in Lower Manhattan, and I had the time to sit there and, clip these coupons, and I had a little file cabinet and everything. I used to organize them by date, by category, by which one is a free item, and then I would match them to where the different sales were in the different supermarkets, and I made it work. And
so you were in survival mode.
Oh yeah, I was definitely in survival mode. Especially, I realized I had to do something because I had moved from the Bronx to Manhattan, and the first thing I noticed was like, wait a minute, the groceries cost twice as much in Manhattan as they do.
That's right.
So once I caught wind of that, I said, okay, now we're gonna have to get clever. And my way of getting clever was being an extreme couponer. So I knew the double coupon days that they used to have back in the day. I knew the double coupon days. The rebates, the UPCs, I did all of that, just to balance the budget.
You were serious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, then what happened next?
Then I started writing. I started writing a novel, and I'm gonna call it a novel, even though when I found it years later, it was called Love Changes. But I started writing a novel, and I had like what was like 130 something pages, and I had gone to the computer room in our neighborhood, and the monkey virus got it. So yeah, it was on the little 3.5 floppy. Yeah. I stuck it in there, and the monkey virus got it. So I was like, okay, I'll never write again, which was a lie. So that was that. After that, I began writing songs, song lyrics. And I had one of my songs performed in the festival circuit, and I was hoping to someday have a song on the radio. That was like the dream. But being a songwriter was one of those careers that was not as simple as having a great song or showing up for an interview. It was, you had to know somebody with a project, know somebody with a project that believes in your song, who wants to use your song and also pay you for it. And, just the course of that was so difficult that I said, okay, I'm going to hire my own person to sing. I'm going to pay for the producer and the studio time. I'm going to reference my own material and get my own demo tape. And when I did that, I recorded 3 songs. The best of the best songs, I accidentally recorded over my DAT tape, which was like a no. I accidentally anyway, there's that. One of my songs was, like I said, was on the festival circuit, and the other song, it actually became one of the foundations for the novel Love Changes. And Love Changes grew because I said, well, with this songwriting thing, it's like I really don't have power to open doors myself. So I decided to take my own power back, and I built chapters around my song catalog, and that's where the novel came to be. And then I also quoted songs, Mary J. Blige's "Be Happy, Keep on Moving" by Soul to Soul, and "Same Place, Same Time" by Crystal. I quoted those songs by tracking down 18 music publishers for their permission to quote the song, and I paid the licensing fee. So as an independent publisher, I have licensing and permission to quote those 3 songs, which is a little bit unusual for independent publishers, and even mainstream publishers are no longer interested in publishing books with song lyrics in them, because the whole process is tedious.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So now you're going through all the music writing, and now you're into you transition into the writing aspect of it, and with Love Changes. So talk about that. Is that a one book, or has it become a series?
Okay, it was one 56 chapter novel that was 120,000 words, for roughly 400 pages. And the novel took me, I started writing in 2001 and I published it in 2013. So the novel took me so long to write that by the time I actually completed and published the novel, the market had changed. People are no longer interested in the 400 page, big, thick hardcover novels anymore. I mean, some are, but some weren't. Readers were more becoming more attracted to the series, the short series, and the series leading to the next serialized version of it. So understanding that the market had changed, to help me sell it a little bit better, I serialized it. So I separated the story into its part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Okay, so we're gonna show a little video of your one of your promos of the book, and then we'll talk further.
Okay.
Award-winning author Eartha Watts Hicks and Eartha Tone Books is pleased to announce the publication of Love Changes. Urban, sensual, and spiritual, Love Changes is the story of a struggling young mother torn between the loyalties of friends, family, and lovers. This debut novel was winner of the 2013 Just Read Literary Game Changers Award from the NYCH branch of the NAACP. Mia Love quits college and gets a job in order to support her live-in boyfriend Spider and finance his education. When she becomes pregnant, her mother, his father, and Ramel, her handsome and flirtatious best friend, all think she has made a bad decision. Order your copy of Love Changes, available now at Amazon.com. Order Love Changes now and receive a musical playlist for all reference songs, a reading group guide for book clubs, and an excerpt from the next title. Order your copy of Love Changes now at Amazon.com. For more information or to order the new revised edition, available exclusively at www.earthatone.com.
Okay, so I picked up in there it says sensual and spiritual. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the that and just the book itself.
Okay, it's the story of a 26-year-old who wants to marry her high school sweetheart because they just had a baby together. And it's new baby, that lifestyle change and transitioning from after college into getting your own space and now becoming a parent, and just the early roots of adulthood. And in that space of her becoming a new mom and in this new situation, she wants to get married, and everyone has an opinion on what she should do and how she should do it. And, because she's young, she wants to impress his family, hoping that would lead him into making a decision faster. But she's trying to be everything to everyone. And in that space of one, new mom, postpartum, all these energies, she's nursing, new baby. It's like she's slowly losing herself, so it's a very, very true to life story. It's funny in places and it gets more serious in other places, but it's about life and some of the hard decisions and just some of the complications in life that we stumble across just trying to discover who we are.
Oh yeah. You said it all right there. No, I mean, because it's so many young people out here today. I mean, I was just thinking of when I was listening to the promo, right? Over the years, as an executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, so many times, whether it's either a young boy or a young girl, you hearing their stories, or someone's, young man has gotten somebody, pregnant and hearing, hearing his side of the story and how he feels. And then on the other side, you hear young women talk about that because it's a game changer, right? When you find out as a male, man, somebody's pregnant, right? Now, and then it's a game changer on the other side. You find out as a young lady, you find out you pregnant, so and then you're talking about school, right? What happened to all the dreams in schools? And yeah, I mean, that's really confusing for young people. So yeah, and yeah, so it's interesting to see that. And so it comes in 3 parts.
Wow. Yeah, the 3 parts was to actually help it sell, because those who read the first part, and I noticed it too. Once I digitized it, sent it to Kindle, and it was divided in 3 parts and available on Kindle. I could see the readers go, whoop, part 1, boop, by the next one, 2, boop, next one. So it was like they would read it, and I would see when they would get to the end of part 1, they would click by the second and click by the third. And I said, okay. And that's how I kicked up the sales. Because, the thing about books is that your book is on a shelf, but if it's on a shelf and people don't know your name, they don't know to look for your book.
Right.
So there's no connection from a reader to your book if they don't know you. It's just words on a spine. It's just another cover. And some people some people are so attracted to the cover that they buy the book. But on a bookshelf, it's the spine that's showing.
Yes.
So on the spine, if your name doesn't ring any bells, people have no idea where to look for you. And then not only that, you're in alphabetical order. And me being Eartha Watts Hicks, I'm somewhere after after Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
So people look right by me,
Right. And so out of that, it looks like you became the founder of Eartha Tone, right? And you're doing publishing, and you got Eartha Tone books. Yeah. So you just made your way. You just went from survival to thriving.
Yeah. I mean, because when it came to Love Changes, I had once I understood that, okay, I'm going to publish this myself. I had to learn how to be every job in the publishing company, as from the designer to how I was going to market this, how I was going to do the press releases, do the PR of it, how to promote it. And I literally learned this in the course of getting the sales and just building and growing the audience. So it's all of it is a learning process. So the parts of it that I know well enough to outsource, I'll outsource and do that service for someone else, because otherwise it's if I don't offer the service to someone else, it's useless information. Not that it's useless information, but I can only publish but so many books. But I can do the service for other people as well. And I also do press releases for blackpr.com. So I do press releases for blackpr.com and little writing here and there, but it's a service that I offer. 1, because I'm good at it, and 2, because I know I can do it right. And I know sometimes just getting it done right saves a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. And so you have, okay, you just named, because you said earlier, have 5 income sources, right? So do you have 5? I mean, you got services. Yeah.
My 5 streams of income.
Yeah, 5 streams of income.
Let's put it this way. I have 5 streams of income. Sometimes some of them are dripping. But I do have 5 streams. Might be dripping sometimes, not streaming, but I got 5.
Oh, hey, let me say this. Remember, we're interactive and we're talking about what, publishing. We're talking about writing. I don't know if you guys are interested out there in publishing, writing. You know, a book idea that you might have, something that you've written down, and you're looking for some help, right? Like I was looking for some help, man. My wife had written a book, and you know, I want to give a shout out to Gerald Hoover. You know, the Hero series. You know, out there. You know, Gerald. I called Gerald up, and I was like, man, look, you know, my wife has a book. You know, we need to get it done. He said, oh, I got the person. Call Eartha. You know, that's okay. We're gonna call Eartha. So far, you know, Eartha's in the process between my wife and Eartha, and getting her book done. I mean, and we want to show you a preview. This is like a little preview before we get back into the interview. My wife's book coming out soon, called Soul, like Soul, S-O-W, So What, by Patrice Wallace Moore. It's a devotional offering encouragement to those who are hoping to reap the harvest of a blessing from life's difficult trials. Man, I love the cover. I mean, Eartha, the two of them working together to make that happen, man. Let's show that cover again. One more time. I'm saying, who's that beautiful woman on the cover? Yeah. That's gonna be hot. Yeah. And so Eartha's doing some work with it, you know. And what's your thoughts so far?
Oh, it's a powerful book, and that it's one, it's relatable, and two, it's it takes you through life's journeys, as in we're all so self-focused and self-centered that we think that we're the only ones going through something. And in the midst of that, it's like, oh, I can't make it. I can't do it. And we're giving ourselves all these reasons why we can't do something. And she's taking you through her own journeys. Like, oh, you think you're going through something? Come with me. And she's taking you on that journey with her. And it's like, it reminds me in so many ways of like a Christmas movie, in a sense where you visit room to room and you get to see the different experiences in life, you know, journey to journey to journey. And at the end of it, you get that profound message that you've always had what you needed, even though you didn't believe in yourself. All you needed to do was believe in yourself and believe in God. It's an amazing story. It's an amazing story. And it's not even one amazing story. It's an amazing series of stories that teaches you that you have what it takes.
Awesome, man. And I'm sure y'all going to make it good. You know, hey, but if you're looking for help out there, you're looking for answers, you got to call Eartha, right? Let her take care of you. Oh man, that's awesome. And so what do you, anything else you got coming in the pipeline?
In the pipeline, I have a YA book that I'm currently working on called Boy Crazy, Love Was Just a Coincidence, which is a YA book set in the 1980s. I'm also working on another YA book called Jeans and Sneakers, which is two young boys, age 14, who are best friends, one white and one black, and they get to switch places. So, you know, between those two and then another project that I'm working on, and also another planner, which is the Travel 101 that I'm working on. Those projects will be keeping me busy this year.
Yeah. What's Travel 101?
Well, with the Planner is a Girl's Best Friend series, I decided to feature my best friends. So one of my friends is a ticket agent for American Airlines, and she's been my friend since we were 5 years old. So she's the theme for my Travel 101 planner, and And it's everything from what do you pack and how do you plan your itinerary, how do you plan your flight, where to get the best deals. It's little tips and tricks to make your whole travel experience better and to help you plan that vacation and take that vacation and have a good time. And also for you to remember the whole year as you plan this vacation. So I call it Travel 101. And then it's also like puzzles, about travel and little things that make it fun. But that's what it is. It's a fun planner, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good too. Because last year, I don't know that I don't know when we think about planning a trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I know that I think we got some planning to do this year. We'll be celebrating 40 years of marriage, so we've got to figure out. We need to start planning. We need to start planning where we're going, what we're going to do, all those kind of things. Like we need to start getting on that right now. So yeah, but I guess the theme here, man, when I think about it, for everybody out there, man, if you're going to do something, it has to be a plan. You got to sit down and think about what it is that, no matter how small or how large it may be, you got to think about what's the process, what do I have to do. Sometimes they don't always work out, right? But at least you need to have a plan. You need to set goals. And because sometimes people looking at, okay, I want to go on a trip, right? And they're just looking at the end result. Oh yeah, I'm just going to go on a trip. They don't look at the little stages, the short range, medium range, long range plans that it takes to be able to accomplish that. So yeah, I mean, this is awesome, man. So I want you to, before we get off here, we I had this series called Paying It Forward, right? And you got a couple of readings.
Yes.
So I like you to read. Well, read one, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, and then we'll read the other one.
Okay, great. The first one I'm going to read is called Miracle on 42nd Street. I had just left the hair salon at around 11:15 p.m. Cameron, my best friend and owner of Eternal Beauty, occasionally gave me a lift to the Gun Hill Road train station on her way home. I was hoping to be able to catch the M11 express bus down into lower Manhattan that would have left me closer to home, and with minimal traffic, it would have been a quick 45-minute trip. Unfortunately, I missed my bus by about 10 minutes. Instead of waiting the half hour for another, I walked my beautified self across the street to catch the Flatbush-bound number 2 train down to 34th Street. That ride should have taken little more than an hour, but on this particular evening, the wait for that train was excruciatingly long. When the train did arrive, the subway car was half filled with young adults looking like they were on their way to hang out on a Friday night. Girls all had their hair and nails freshly done. Guys with fresh haircuts dressed in their best casual clothing. Everyone spread themselves out in the car, allowing themselves ample room and assuring they didn't invade anyone's personal space. The train itself did the usual squeaking and jerking, but crawled to 149th Street Grand Concourse. When we pulled into 125th, a man that I assumed to be homeless entered and walked through, making an obnoxious pitch for passengers to fill his coffee cup with paper money. As he blew by me, I didn't notice any odor, but I would have assumed he had a foul odor by the looks of him. I know one thing. He was not satisfied with the fact that not a single coin donation dropped into his cup. So he planted himself smack in the middle of the subway car instead of proceeding and began to holler his random thoughts. I'm from Maryland. I never been to a rodeo, and I like sandwiches with a lot of meat. New Yorkers can ignore anything. Despite his odd statements, no one so much as glanced in his direction. Those random assertions of his soon covered everything from fragments of his life to Bible verses, competing against Beats and other stereo earbuds half the younger passengers were wearing, urged him to increase the volume on his storytelling, and he carried on, spreading his message with spit flying from his mouth. At 96th Street, an Asian gentleman rushed in. He sat and looked across from him at the screaming man in the dingy cargo pants, up and walked to the other end of the subway car. The train pulled into 72nd Street, a station that now had a crowded platform. Passengers piled in, quickly filling all the empty seats. Hands searched for space on the poles. The screamer went right back at it. Maryland makes the best steaks, and this ain't Maryland. The tourist that had just sat next to the screamer was a tall, beautiful, bright-skinned Black woman with big, bushy hair. Her big, beautiful smile reminded me of my daughter. Young, she must have been in her early 20s. Her voice barreled with a pleasant accent when she screamed back, "Of course this isn't Maryland. I've been to Maryland." Now, of this trainload of passengers, those who had purposely been avoiding eye contact with this man were now engaged to see how he was going to react to her. I can only assume that, like myself, they were quietly deciding how involved they'd get. The screamer's response was to ask, "Well, where are you from?" "I'm from California." At that, he said, "California's a beautiful place." And she screamed back, "I know, that's why I live there." He cleared his throat and lowered his tone. "I also like Virginia. I actually been all around the world. I've only been as far as West Coast to East Coast, and I've been down to the Caribbean twice, but I do like to travel." He said, "I like to travel too." Then he screamed in excitement, but his voice turned somber when he added, "I just haven't been able to travel for a while." At that, the tourist said, "Don't worry. You'll get to travel again soon." Now, the rest of us who had been there before, during, and after his entry into the car, we're all quietly laughing to ourselves. But I noticed the subway car had stopped somewhere between 72nd and 42nd Street, and there was an announcement. "We are stalled. Due to a sick passenger, someone has pulled the emergency brake. We are stalled here until help arrives." We were stuck between two stations for roughly 45 minutes, confined to this one subway car, but were actively eavesdropping on what had completely settled into pleasant camaraderie between this man and this young tourist. It was sheer beauty to witness this man's return to humanity, noticing how straight his posture became as he sat, his crossed legs, and how he was so engrossed in their conversation, his smile became as big as hers. And by the time the train finally creeped into Times Square station, my cell phone read 1:30 a.m. I saw no EMS workers in the station, but did see about 30 police officers. The doors of the subway car opened up, and the homeless gentleman and the tourist stepped out through the foremost doors and smiled at each other. Just shy of giving him a hug, she said, "You have a great evening and be careful out there." He replied, "You too. Stay sweet, dear lady." They walked off in different directions. Several police officers rushed in past them, looked up and down the subway car before exiting and boarding the next car over. Since someone had pulled the emergency brake, it seemed they were now searching the whole train car, one car at a time. The tourist had walked down the platform, and I watched the strange gentleman's cargo pants casually exiting up the stairs, while these 30 or so police officers frantically searched in and about the subway platform and cars for the quote unquote missing sick passenger. Empty-handed, they converged in the middle of the subway platform, scratching their heads. I was puzzled myself, trying to figure out which passenger in our car pulled the emergency brake. That man, turns out, may have just been going through a tough break. All he seemed to really need was someone to talk to him.
That was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know if we got any comments out there. Yeah, I'm picking up this little sound here. But anyway, I mean, that was a good read. Yeah, I was in it. I don't know if anybody else was into the reading. That was powerful. And you know what? Some people don't know how powerful it is to read stories. And my wife probably could tell you back in a few years ago, I met Famous Amos, right? Remember Famous Amos? He did,
Cookies, yes.
yeah, doing the cookies,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you read his story, but I've seen him when I was leaving college and preparing to go, uh, to the NBA draft,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw him out because remember he used to have this big cookie shop with the
Mm-hmm.
giant cookie on it, and he used to stand out in front of the store and hand out warm cookies. I don't know, in his hat, like he was his little beach hat, and you know, he was illiterate, uh,
Oh, didn't know that.
and yeah, and the story, as the story goes, was that he was in business with some guys,
Mm-hmm.
right, and he ended up signing some papers in the company. I think he had a factory in New Jersey that made the nice chocolate chip cookies, Famous Amos chocolate chip cookies, and he had signed away his name, right, to them. They took his whole business name, everything, and so he could no longer use his name. But he began to read after that experience. He became an avid reader, and he became Uncle Amos. And he
Mm-hmm.
actually visited Mount Vernon, one of the supermarkets, and he read in the supermarkets. But he was the guest speaker, right? He was a guest speaker at one of our National Boys and Girls Club conferences,
Mm-hmm.
the luncheon. And when I tell you he read two stories
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that had people just in tears,
Oh,
it's something powerful about reading. When you hear somebody read something out loud, and they suggest that for particularly the problems that we're having with Black boys in crisis in regards to reading,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and 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 so they say one of the things they say, read to boys while they're young. Read to your boys. We said read to all your children, but it says especially read to the boys. So I'm touched by uh, of that reading,
Mm-hmm.
and blessed by that reading, because sometimes we all know New York. I mean, everybody out there know the subway in New
Yeah.
York, and we know that during the busy schedule, when those things are packed, you all packed in there, and you see all kind of people are not courteous or kind, and so yeah, reading that she would take the time to engage him,
Mm-hmm.
that was very powerful. So I thank you for that read, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. They say that they even say people should read to the unborn child when pregnant.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, without a doubt. Um, Yeah, no, that's powerful. I got a couple of some pictures, because see, you won a lot of awards. You won some awards, and of course you participated in a number of festivals and different things like that. Because that's what you have to do as an author. You got to get out there,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to get out there, and you got to be in the festivals, and
Mhm.
all those kind of things. And you even support other people in
Yes.
regards
Yes.
to their reading, and and of course that was my curiosity question. What's my man Talent doing out there, man?
That's Talent. I actually knew Talent from the 80s
Right.
because my cousin is from Mount Vernon. So that's what
Okay.
I knew him from way, 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 way back.
Yeah,
But
that's my boy.
uh,
Yeah, and you got Kevin Hart.
yeah, this Kevin Hart, my a dear friend of mine was his publicist when he did that book signing. So I was able to get in there and grab a copy, get it autographed, and get a photo. And he told me a joke right before they snapped the picture, which is why I have the strange look on my face.
Yeah, and then there's Common.
Oh yeah. My dear friend of mine, Yona, was his publicist as well for when he did the New York signing for his book. And I showed up and I got a chance to meet him, and I introduced myself, and I didn't expect him to smile at me, which is why I'm melting in the second photo on the bottom.
Yeah. I actually have his book. I do have it, Carmen's book.
Mm-hmm.
I remember buying it. I was thinking about that when I saw the picture. I was like, man, I got that book.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
even had a chance. I got so many books.
I mean, it's deeply personal. It really is. And he dug in, and it's very stream of consciousness, but it's a deeply personal account of his own private struggle and how that has impacted him in relationships and raising his daughter. So it's like a private conversation, but it's in a book.
Yeah. So I mean, you heard me mention earlier about the importance of reading. What's your thoughts? Because what's your thoughts about in regards to our culture? How important books, how important reading is, and what are some of your solutions to how we can get more people, not just kids, because you know everybody need to, you know, it's something powerful about sitting down, opening a book, and reading it.
Okay, I have a few different views on this. You know how they say every time you hear a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Yes.
I think every time you see a reality show, a book dies.
Oh man.
That's just my own little quirky way of putting it. But I mean, I think that books allow us to, I look at books for a lot of different reasons. To one, learn anything I want to learn. Two, it's a way to immerse myself in another world and learn at the same time. And number three, books allow us to open ourselves up, to gain more knowledge, to learn to do different things. Anything, I always believe anything you want to learn, you can learn by just gathering the right collection of books. So like with me personally, I had gone to the public library like it was a university. Once I had graduated college, I couldn't afford grad school. I went to the public library. I taught myself Spanish marketing, everything I could teach myself from just the books that they had. And the thing about libraries now, and even about audiobooks, is even if you don't have time to flip pages, audiobooks, you can put that thing on and listen while you work, and listen while you clean, and listen while you sweep, listen while you do whatever it is you need to do with your hands. You can listen and still gain the same knowledge. I still suggest knowing how to read the characters, but if you don't have the time to stop your whole world, you can still get the same experience from an audiobook. And that's just for anything. I've gotten audiobooks on finance, personal finance, on home ownership. My favorite one is David Bach, The Automatic Millionaire, about save and personal finance. So, anything you want to know, need to know, there's a whole category of books on that specialization. And you can just go right into that topic, and you could pick up the top 10 of the books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or even the ones that you see have a lot of reviews. But you open up your whole world once you start reading different books. And I personally feel that you can gain a working knowledge of something by reading 10 books on it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think we had a question down there. I'm in 100% agreement with you on that. Can you talk about the importance of editing? Many people are fearful of this very important activity.
Okay. Well, the importance of editing is that, well, on the page, on the written word, it's one, bookstores don't want to accept books that are not edited. Readers, when they read books and they see the typos pull them out of the story. So when it comes to editing is to do the best presentation of the work so that it can be received by readers and get into the spaces where it needs to go. So editing opens up like a whole universe of opportunities for books, to libraries, to, you know, wherever. And it, you know, a book is a calling card as well. It's the author's calling card. So the editing process, it used to be, I'm gonna say it this way. Used to be a developmental edit, a copy edit, and a proofread. So it used to be 3 phases of edit nowadays. But years ago, when things were traditionally published, it took a lot more time in developing to get a work together. You know, nowadays, people get one editor and one proofreader, or one editor and proofread themselves. But it's a process. But it's definitely an important part of getting the book together, and it's the accuracy, you know, also matters too. So it's a tedious process, but it's well worth it and it's necessary.
Mm. And for me, the other thing is how did we get, you know, they seem to be, you mentioned it earlier, you went to the library.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be that libraries are becoming, particularly, maybe it's cultural, obsolete. How can libraries draw more people? You know, get people to, you know, because sometimes you got to, you know, I know you can get it on your phone, right? Because I think that's some of the problems, is that now you got it right in your hand. You got a laptop, you got your cell phone, you can download it. So why go to the library when I can? But what can libraries do, you know, to draw more attention to itself?
I would say to engage their I'm going to say constituents, but to engage the community more, in that when the library offers workshops, offers book discussions, offers classes for the kids, and does programming around the needs of the community and the occasion, all of that draws the people into the library when they offer free programming to the community. Right now, we're in a space where, you know, we have Kindle Unlimited, and people can download whatever, you know, whenever, however, and 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 people have their own private libraries, because the cost of books are not the $30 per book that they used to be in the 90s, which was a lot of money in the 90s. You know, in the 90s, you know, it was easy to go to the library because books were so unaffordable. You know, books were so unaffordable. Like, one person in the family would buy one book, the next person would buy another book, and, you know, we all switched. You know, books were like $30 for a hardcover book in the 90s was a lot of money. You know, so nowadays books are more affordable, and but also too, we have computers, printers, and ways to engage the students as they do their thing, do their educational thing in the library. They could offer tutoring and assistance. There are programs like Kumon that help students with math. So if they help the students that are struggling to read, and help the students that are struggling with their math with some kind of tutorial, you know, like maybe a different subject every day, you know, just to help these students and engage these students who want to learn more sincerely, I think that would work, because most libraries have like a spare room, you know, where they do like a little mini program or conference. So that's just one idea. I know there's we have this thing where you nominate your favorite librarian, the little pieces of paper. I know one thing that would definitely bring me into the library every single year when my children were small was when they would have their science project, because I was not a walking science Bill Nye person, so I would go into the library to the children's section and, seek out the different science books to help them with their science project. But, they have to be in touch with what the community needs and what the people need who are coming in regularly. Nowadays, I've seen a lot of my local libraries have become a refuge for people coming in out of the street, out of the cold. So in that regard, people who would normally patronize a library are seeing, okay, well, this library is filled with people that normally are on the street and not in a library, because the librarians, that's really not their job to, to secure the space. It's a public space, it's a public space, but there's a lot of issues that the libraries are facing, but the libraries are so valuable, in the sense that the librarians are their walking catalog of the best books that anybody can ever recommend. They just know what book, what subject, what author, which ones are their favorite, which ones are their readers' favorites for the youth. They're a walking catalog and they're a resource. And then also too, the library offers resources. There was one book in the library over here near me that offers, it's a complete book that's about maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, offering resources to people who are formerly incarcerated and becoming acclimated back into society. So it was all the different resources, and the library had a stack of them and they were just giving them away for free. So there's so many resources that are in the library that are even on the tables that people just hand out, and people just don't even look. Sometimes people think, oh, can't get nothing for free. I mean, you can get something for free, because if it doesn't cost you money, it'll cost you a little time. So if you find the right thing and find the right information and follow up, that's some energy and some time and some effort. But the cash outlay might be zero, but you're going to spend something on it. If not money, you're going to spend time.
Yeah. Time, talent, and treasure. Right.
Yeah.
And someone that just mentioned book signings are always good to draw people in. And so, that's a good idea as well. Book signings draw people to libraries, and libraries offer a host of knowledge. You just mentioned that as well. And so, Earth, I want to say thank you. I think we're just a few minutes over. I want to say thank you for joining me this evening, taking time out of your busy schedule, and I appreciate it. I've learned a lot this evening. This was a wonderful conversation, and my take on libraries, real quickly, is that I think we need a makeover in libraries. I think we need to make them more Starbucks focused. I think you need to get in there, because people used to go to Barnes and Nobles just to go into the lounge area to pull out a book, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, have a little snack. I think they need to go and invite people to come in, and hey, maybe you make a few dollars off offering little snacks and stuff like that, where people can lounge and relax and respect the space. So I just think they need makeovers like that, because like you said, they're important to our society. So I want to say again, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're welcome. And I'm looking forward to next week. We got stick and move boxing here on next week. People running the program, managing the program, raising raising funds for the program. I'm looking forward to having a wonderful conversation with them on next week. They're out of Pennsylvania, and looking forward to it. And so to each and every one of you, thanks tonight. Thanks for your comments. Tonight, thanks for your questions. Man, I love you guys. God bless you. And, like I say, if you wake up tomorrow, right, make tomorrow or make that day your masterpiece. I love you guys. God bless you, and see you next week.
Thank you.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.